Joining us now for the Money Huddle is business and market analyst Seth Denson, also a Newsmax contributor. It's great to have you with us here today, Seth.
John, Bianca, good to see you.
All right, let's jump into it. Numbers aren't good. Inflation rises 7.5%. You know, we haven't seen inflation like this in 40 years. Are we at the peak? I mean, how much more do you think this could climb?
Listen, until we start to see some change in our federal monetary policy, I don't know that we're at the peak. And by the way, I don't think this report surprised anybody. I mean, listen, as somebody who's been out recently, gone grocery shopping on behalf of Mrs. Denson to get some stuff, I mean, I was shocked to see what is out there on a daily basis. And everybody's living, whether you're filling your car with gas. You showed the numbers, 7.5%. That's the overall average. But the things that most Americans are consuming on a day-to-day basis, it's even higher than that. So are we at the peak? I certainly don't know. I don't tend to think so, but I will tell you this, if this doesn't motivate the Fed to actually start doing their job and raise interest rates and get monetary policy under control, I just don't know what will.
So, Seth, what are financial advisors telling their clients to do right now? I know a lot of folks are concerned about this, wondering if there's any kind of way they can hedge this.
Well, I mean, certainly value stocks are things that you're going to want to look at. I've said it for a long time, said it with you, John, a number of times. You want to look at businesses with good fundamentals. I'm steering clear of those businesses that are probably overvalued. That's going to be a lot of your tech stocks. Maybe we're not buying Peloton this week. But, you know, I think some of those things are certainly good. This will all settle out. The long-term game is still the game to be playing. So unless you're planning to pull your money out of the market in the next, I don't know, year, you're probably in a good position. Hold that position. But if you're putting new money in the market, you want to be looking at value stocks. You want to be looking at, you know, businesses with good fundamentals.
All right. Well, the U.S. government has a massive secret Bitcoin stash. This was kind of surprising. For years, the government has obtained Bitcoin by seizing it from high-profile criminal sting operations, and those sold off in auctions. So what's up with this, Seth? Why are they holding on to Bitcoin? We learned about this from CNBC.
Death and taxes, John. Death and taxes. The government wants to get their due. When nefarious acts happen, whether it's Bitcoin or cash, the government's going to go find it. I mean, you got Ponzi schemes, you got money laundering schemes. All this stuff is happening, and the feds are looking at it. While the SEC doesn't consider Bitcoin a true asset, the government does, and there's a lot of money floating around. And so, A, the IRS wants to get its cut, but B, the federal, the FBI is looking at this and saying, when there's nefarious acts, when there's Ponzi schemes, we're going to go confiscate this. This is the same as they would do if it was a drug scheme or something of that sort. A lot of times they try to make some of those folks whole, but when they can't, they auction off. Matter of fact, the federal government has just hired a private sector company to manage its crypto assets. That tells you that this is something that the federal government knows isn't going anywhere anytime soon.
Yeah, that's the question. So it's getting more kind of established.
It is, and I think as it gets more established, we will start to see more regulation over it. And I've been one, I heard you on the teaser up that neither of you have crypto. Well, I don't either. I haven't put any money in there, and I've constantly said until there's more regulation and understanding and control, I have zero interest in putting money in it at this point.
I know you've mentioned before that it's if you have money to play with and you can lose it, then maybe you go into Bitcoin. But Seth, this story made headlines. It's kind of an unusual one. The Justice Department announced this week its largest ever financial seizure, sort of like what we were just talking about, more than $4 billion of cryptocurrency. And they arrested this young New York couple. They're in their 30s. They are now accused of conspiring to launder billions of dollars of stolen crypto. It was stolen from a 2016 hack of a virtual currency exchange. Now, federal law enforcement say they recovered some. It was linked to the hack of Bitfinex, which is a virtual currency exchange, systems breached by hackers almost 6 years ago. It was like 71 million then, and it's just soared. But Bitcoin can be hacked. What do you make of this case and this couple here that, you know, they call them, you know, they're young and they look great, but they're involved in this alleged money laundering?
Yeah, I think this is the misnomer of crypto. Everybody thinks it's anonymous, but it's not. And it's the same whether you're holding a stock or anything like that. An asset isn't really an asset unless you're collecting a dividend or you sell it and you have something to gain with it, right? Well, as soon as that happens, there is some type of tracking mechanism on it. Even if you're using something like a Coinbase, which is effectively the crypto stock exchange, right? There is a tracking mechanism there. The feds know that. They're watching these things. So if you think that this is anonymous, it's not. Uncle Sam's watching, as is everybody else.
It's all in the blockchain.
Space. You know what, Seth? You mentioned assets. What's weird right now, we don't have a lot of time to talk about this, but you know, like used cars are becoming assets. They're appreciating in value. It's just such a wild time right now in the economy. And I see your point. I always thought crypto was like secretive. Nobody could track you, and apparently not. Apparently not.
That's right. Yeah, and, but speaking of used cars, I just bought out my lease because I can make money on my used car.
I've heard about this too. One of my friends did the same thing. He bought out his wife's lease, and then they turned around and bought a new Suburban, and they somehow made money on the deal. Wild times out there in the car business. That's another segment for another day. We'll have to call a money huddle on that one as well. Seth Denson, great to see you as always. And say hi to Mrs. Denson for us.
We'll do it.
Thank you, Seth.